This would be greatly beneficial to you to take notes, because now, as opposed to talking about the score, which is an equally important topic, now we're going to talk about the test itself and its structure and format, which I think is a much more beneficial topic for you. This may not matter to you, but this year it changed. They made it digital. They matched it with the ACT that was already digital, but they changed some really important things about the test. One of the things they changed, which a lot of students were happy about, is they made it 2 hours and 14 minutes as opposed to over 3 hours. And, obviously, anything that you have to do that's shorter, I guess, is supposed to be better. One of the things I don't think a lot of students quite understand is that they added the adaptive feature, meaning that your questions will change as you take the test. So it's like totally impossibility that anyone in a testing room will have the same questions, even the same level of difficulties. They change as you take the test. The test adapts to you. And so that, in other words, it makes the test very personal. It makes it unique to you. And I think that's a good thing. You get this. You also get the results back faster, and which I also think is a good thing, because no more waiting for weeks to figure out how you did. Now it's just a few days, and you can get the results back. If it's less time, then obviously there's less fatigue. Taking a 2-hour test is less fatiguing than taking a 3-hour test. And I think that's good. The modern tech format matches what you are used to, because you're used to looking at a screen, and that's what you're going to be looking at when you take the test. So you're not going to, experience any difficulty in that. And most of you look at screens for more than 2 hours a day. So eye strain and all those other issues that come with screens, you won't have, which is, very good. Student test takers of the past would not have been able to do what you are able to do. Okay, so 2 hours and 14 minutes. That is the reading and writing section and the math section. But we have to stop calling it sections now, because now they have changed that title to modules. So you have 2 modules in the reading and writing and 2 modules in the math. In the reading and writing modules, you have 64 minutes to answer 54 questions. That's 32 minutes per module, with 27 questions to answer in those 32 minutes. Now, if we did some math, which I have already done for you, that equates to 71 seconds per question. That's 35 seconds for the reading and 35 seconds to select the answer choice. Now, the modules themselves are not separated into reading and writing. Each module has reading and writing questions. So you can go from a grammar question to a literature analysis question, to another grammar question, to another literature analysis question. They didn't separate them. And I think actually that's a good idea, because you're looking at the same text. So why not have the same type of questions as opposed to having it separated into sections. I think it's good. I think it's good. With that said, time becomes important. And we're going to talk about what I mean by that later. In the math, of course, I'm not going over the math, but for those who have to take the math, which is everybody, it has two modules. I was tempted to call them sections. 2 modules, 35 minutes each, 44 questions. And of course, that's 70 questions to answer 70 minutes to answer 44 questions. It might be better to look at it like this. Breakdown. You don't have a break, and I'm showing this this comes directly from the College Board. You don't have a break between modules, but you do have a break between the sections. So you have a break between the reading and writing and the math. It's 10 minutes, but between modules, there's no break. So we're still dealing with a bit of stamina here, your ability to stay focused for a long period of time. In this case, it'll be 64 minutes. So nothing changes. I'm sorry. In this case, it would be 64 minutes. Nothing changes for that. Like I said, they didn't separate the questions or the types of questions. They put them all together in each module. The content areas of those modules then becomes important. So content domains for each module. First content domain, craft and structure. Second content domain, information and ideas. Third content domain, standard English conventions. And the fourth being expression of ideas. If there was a content domain that I would consider the grammar and writing, it would be content domain number 3. And those types of questions dealing with sentence structure, basic grammar, rules. If that's your favorite and you're really good at that, then you can expect 11 to 15 questions for covering both modules, 5 to 7 questions per module. Now, in our course here, I separate those question types and I cover the reading first and then the grammar and the writing after that. So in our reading course here, we're just going to be focused on the first, second, and fourth content domain. Although some writing conventions do exist in those domains. One thing I have known since the beginning of my tenure in tutoring the SAT, and that is the more you know about the test itself, the structure and format of the test, the more successful you will be on it. So I'm hoping that you're taking this serious because it is highly unlikely you will be successful on this test or any test if you do not understand its structure and format, which not a lot of students put enough time on studying it. So I hope you are, taking this serious. Look, knowledge strategy, stamina, and mindset. These are what I consider the 4 pillars of success on the SAT. The knowledge, not just talking about the knowledge of the content of the test questions or the passages, but also of the structure and format of the test. Strategy, because, that knowledge or the knowledge you gained since first grade is only going to take you to a certain point. After talking about with the test, after that point, then it becomes strategic, meaning that how do you strategically navigate a question and a passage that is difficult? How can you overcome your limit in knowledge? And this is where strategies come in at. You have to learn test taking strategies in order to be successful on the SAT. You're not going to get it with this natural knowledge alone. It's not going to happen. Stamina, well, maintaining focus on anything for over 10 minutes is difficult for everybody. You have to maintain focus on something for over an hour. That's kind of hard. So I hope that you've been doing things that we talked about. One of them is reading. Test anxiety. I have a complete article in the Quick Forum concerning test anxiety and how it affects students taking the test and ultimately their score. You should read that because some students take that for granted. Everybody has test anxiety. It does not, there's nobody that doesn't have a certain level of it. You have to learn how to manage it. Mindset. Positivity is definitely the key. When we're talking about growth, we're talking about understanding that your score can be improved. And this is why I started by talking about the score, because everybody taking the test should understand that no matter where you start with the test, you can improve on it. It's not impossible. It's just some things that you have to do. One of them is learn from your mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes. And what I mean by mistakes, I'm not talking about mistakes you've made in life. I'm talking about the mistakes you make on practice tests. When you take a practice test, you have to go back and review it. You have to understand the mistakes you made before you proceed to another practice test, which is another mistake a lot of students make preparing for the SAT. They don't spend time covering their mistakes. Also concerning mindset, stress management, the way you deal with stress is that you become good at it. So when you're sitting down with the test, you don't become afraid. You don't get anxiety. And the way you do that is you prepare 5 to 7 hours a week. Schoolwork is a priority to you because anything academic, you are conditioning yourself to be serious about. Extracurricular activities, you should have some. You should be doing something other than sitting at home playing a video game. You should have some things that you do outside, whether it has something to do with athletics or has something to do with maybe something else academic that you're doing on the side as a hobby. And of course, during the months that you are preparing for the test, don't become a hermit. Don't hide yourself in your room, not wanting to talk to people. That is not going to do anything but raise your stress levels. Mindset also talks about techniques. Pray. I can't name one thing that I accomplished successfully in life without praying for it. And that for you includes definitely the SAT. There are a lot of variables that you will be faced with on test day, no matter how much you prepare. And, if you're prayed up, then you're going to be able to keep your performance up. Keep that in mind. Breathing exercises is really good. Practice them because you're going to need those breathing exercises when you are taking the test. You can feel yourself getting, if you practice certain breathing exercises, you can bring yourself down and relax. Positive visualization. You can visualize the day you get your score back and see the 1400. You visualize that in your mind as you're preparing, as you take, so it keeps you in a more positive mindset, because it's possible. It's not impossible, but without a doubt, knowledge, stamina, mindset, and strategy all equates to SAT success. Okay, so you know the structure of the test. You know all about the scoring. What now? Or what next? Believe it or not, you've already been engaged in what's next. You've already completed phase 1. I made sure of that. In the course, phase 1, you did these. You took a diagnostic test. You saw your level before you began anything. And after that, you commenced to learning basic grammar, sentence structure, paragraph structure, essay structure. You reviewed and reminded yourself of all the things that you learned since the first grade. And you did all of that in preparation of doing the preparation for the SAT. A lot of students take that for granted. Some students like to begin their preparation without having done any review of the basics of the English language that they learned since first grade. That is a huge mistake. You're actually supposed to come to the preparation already having mastered grammar and writing. That's how you're supposed to come to the preparation. You don't, I tell you, over the 20 years I was an SAT tutor, I have to admit that I was very happy when I met a student who didn't even know the 8 parts of speech. Inside, I was going, yeah. Why? Because we're going to spend many lessons going over grammar before we even get to the test. Yes? So essentially, I start out as an English tutor. And then over a few months, then I get into the SAT. But that is a guaranteed student I got for months now. But unfortunately, I didn't encounter many students like that. Most students that called me had either already taken the test and were trying to get a perfect score, or English was amazing. So then I had to do some work. It wasn't going to be easy after that. Trying to get somebody who's already good at something be better at it is much more difficult than trying to get somebody who knows nothing and teach them something. So I didn't get those students, unfortunately. Okay, so skill building is what you're going to have to do. This is step 2 of phase 1. And if you followed my directions, you already did this, and you're already doing this. I don't know if I made it obvious, but reading for 1 to 2 hours a day is essential for building your stamina to take a 1 hour reading test. It is essential. If you hate reading, then your mindset is gone. Your success will be very limited. What are you going to read? College level articles. For instance, like the articles that you will find in the Quick Forum on Mr. Quick's class. You can find articles of your own, Scientific American, New York Times, stuff that would be considered college level reading material. Far away from the text messages in your WhatsApp. Because you already read for more than an hour a day, but you're just reading the wrong stuff. So if we can switch that over to the right stuff, then you will accomplish this. Vocabulary. And a lot of students ask, Ms. Quick, why you don't go over vocabulary? Because going over vocabulary words is a waste of time. What is more beneficial is for you to read. Extracting vocabulary from what you read, you can always tell the difference between a student who reads and a student who doesn't just by talking to them. Because they just happen to use vocabulary because they see it so much in their reading. Vocabulary that not the average student uses. If you are not a good reader or haven't been, then the other option for you is word parts. And we went over word parts in first quarter, suffixes, prefixes, and roots. You can study them in order to dissect and break apart difficult words to understand their meanings. Those are the only other options. Other than that, you yourself can start learning individual words, but I think it'd be much more advantageous to go through the word parts if you haven't previously been a good reader. That's just my advice. Phase 2. Phase 2, we haven't started. But phase 2, we as a group, and you as an individual, you need to start. Phase 2 is all about building competence. One of them is you're going to have to start figuring out some strategies in which you use in order to navigate the test, to navigate understanding literature, to navigate being able to analyze what you read, navigate being able to identify errors in your writing, and to elevate your understanding of literature from the point of view of logic. We're going to do that soon here in the third quarter. So you don't have to worry about that, but you should be doing it on your own. You should be doing it on your own. Practice. Without a doubt, you should be doing some practice sessions of 60 to 90 minutes each, 3 to 4 hours. This is what you should be doing on a weekly basis. You should be trying to figure out which areas of the test that you find difficulty in. And you should already know that through the diagnostic tests that you have already taken. You kind of already know where your weak areas are because you reviewed all of your mistakes, so you know them. So here in phase 2, you already know where to start. Here's our schedule. Mondays, you're going to be doing 1 hour focused reading practice. You're going to be doing some kind of vocabulary building. And you're going to review any questions that you found difficult in your diagnostic and or your practice tests. Wednesday. Every Wednesday, you got a 30-minute grammar rule practice. You got reading comprehension. And you got time practice for 15 minutes. Now, of course, this is provided that you have the prep material that you need. And if you're outside of the realms of our site in the future, then you need to find yourself some practice material because you're going to need a lot of it. This is a schedule I hope you're going to, write down and adhere to. This is what you should be doing. You got to try. You need to schedule. You need to make a schedule. And we talked about that already. Schedules are important. Okay. Friday. Friday is not fun day. Friday is mixed practice. Focus on thinking and pacing yourself. This is what Fridays are. Fridays is not, relax day, sleep day. No, Friday is opportunity day. Saturday is even a bigger opportunity because that's the day you do your big, full practice test. That's the one where you have reserved a place in your home. You got your timer there. You got everything ready. Everything's quiet. And you go through a full test, doing a complete review and analysis of the answer choices you got wrong so that you can plan for the next week. And that you're going to do that on Sunday. Sunday, you're going to plan your next schedule. Of course, you're going to keep to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday schedule. Sunday, you're just going to plan out exactly what material you're going to cover on those days. Sunday is the day you're going to determine what material you're going to cover on those days. This, if you do it like this, we're talking about 3 to 4 hours a week, which is based on what we saw as far as the scoring, is really a basic time period for preparation. This is not that, extra effort, 100-hour preparation schedule. That would be, you just add time to these days and that'll get you there. But 3 to 4 hours a week is a pretty, okay, so I won't call it basic. Is a pretty good prep schedule. If you do under that, then you're not serious. You're not trying. You're lying to yourself if you do that. Okay. Well, let's say you did all of that preparation for all of those months, and now the day has arrived. Test day preparation. A week before test day. And I know that's weird. Well, why should I consider test day a week before test day? Because this is the time when your anxiety starts to go up. Instead of just focusing on your anxiety, you should be focused on these things. You should be making sure you know where you're going, That's not, the morning of the test is not the day you want to get lost, for sure. You need to make sure your technology requirements, if the testing center does not have the device that you're going to use and you're going to bring your own device, make sure you have that device. Establish a sleep schedule long before test day. Now look, you don't have to take my word for it. You can research it on your own. The lack of sleep is the number one cause for students when it comes to cognitive function decrease. If you want to increase your cognitive function, which you probably want to do in taking this test, sleep more. A test taker should never be sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night. That's insane. That's illogical. And it's academic suicide because your brain cannot function with that amount of sleep. You need to be sleeping 8 plus. And the time you sleep is as important as the hours. The hours between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. are the optimal hours for your cognitive function and your health. You go to sleep at 12, 1, 2. Even if you slept all morning and part of the afternoon, you're still going to have issues with your cognitive function. Like I said, you have to take it from me. You can read or watch professionals, doctors, and scientists tell you the same thing. So this sleeping stuff is serious. Okay, the night before the test, make sure you have all of your items. Make sure you got your admission ticket, you got your ID, because if you forget your ID at home, they will not let you in the test. Even if there's one letter in your name off, they will not let you in the test. You need to make sure when you make your account with the College Board that you get everything right. The ID that you're going to use to go into the testing center, make sure that name and the name that you put in your account is exactly the same to the letter, or you will have done all of this for nothing. Make sure you have the approved calculator. I don't know what, I'm not the math guy, so I wouldn't know what that is. My favorite part, snacks. Because you have conditioned yourself to eat in the morning. You don't have to eat. I don't know if you noticed this about me, but I eat once a day, and it's at 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I eat nothing. I literally fast every day. It's called intermittent fasting. It's not like, I'm telling you, if I ate in the morning, I would not be able to function cognitively to do anything. My brain works the best when I have nothing in my stomach, and that is often the case. But I'm not telling you to do that. If you are going to do something by putting something in your stomach, make sure it's healthy on test day, because the soda pops and the chipsies and the energy drinks and all of that, that's the absolute worst thing you can eat on test day. It will double your anxiety, make you feel stressed, give you brain fog, mess around with your cognitive function. It'll make you go to sleep, make you lose focus. You're just going to be a disaster. Get something healthy with you. Water, maybe some dates. Maybe not the dates that's all sweet like candy. But get you that. Get you something healthy. I'll let you decide. Your parents know what's healthy for you. Make sure they pack you something healthy for a snack. Eat a healthy dinner the night before. Might not be a good time to binge on McDonald's. Don't order a pizza. Don't eat the chocolate cake. You want to eat very healthy the night before. Look, if you know what, with some people, unfortunately, experience is their best teacher, and they have to learn the hard way. It is what it is. But if it's your first time taking the test and you got a score that you need to get, that ain't the time to learn from experience. You want to get it right the first time. You have to relax the night before. When I was a tutor, I would lose clients and have a lot of people angry with me because I would refuse to do a lesson the night before an exam. I would get called. I would have to block people. I would have to refuse to answer. I would have to say no. I would have to hang up the phone in people's faces, because what they don't understand is that if you cram for a test the night before, you are going to perform at a lower level on that test the next day. The SAT is probably the truest test when it comes to this. You can get away with that when you're studying for a school exam, but you ain't going to get away with that with the SAT. The night before, go to the movies. Go to the movies. You know, relax, watch some Netflix. I don't know. Do something relaxing, healthy and relaxing. Don't go to the movie and binge on, soda pop and nacho cheese and all that stuff. But go to the movies, relax. Do something relaxing. Go take a walk, hang out at the cafe with your friends. I don't know. Do something to kind of take your mind off. That's going to help with your anxiety, your stress, and it's going to solidify the information that you prepared for during the months of preparation. I don't have to tell you. You need to go to sleep. You need to go to sleep. If you're not in the habit of going to sleep at 9, 10 o'clock, the night before the exam, you probably ain't going to be able to do it because you're going to be a little stressed. But if you train your body clock to get sleepy at 9 and 10 o'clock, even if you're a little stressed, you're going to go to sleep. And that's going to be the most important sleep that you have in this whole time period, because you have to get 8 hours that night. You got to get 8 hours. The morning, get up, eat something healthy, arrive early. If you're late, they're not going to let you in. You can beg, you can cry, you can demand, you can threaten. They ain't going to let you in. You can say, you know who my daddy is, you know who my mama is. They ain't going to let you in. So get there early, because you will not be let in if you don't, if you get there late. Utilize the lavatory, because, they're not going to let you, there's no going to the bathroom stuff. So you got to utilize the bathroom before the test. And do the breathing exercises, be positive, because you can do it. All right. Now, during the test, what to do during the test? Don't sleep during the test. Let me finish. Don't sleep during the test, please. Do these things. At the break, take the healthy snack that you put in your bag and eat it. I don't recommend skipping the snack during the break. I don't recommend that. I definitely recommend you eating it, but just make sure it's healthy, because you know what happens to you after you eat a snack. You know what happens. You start getting a little drowsy, a little sleepy. Healthy snacks, they don't do that. Yes, you have 10 minutes, so utilize those 10 minutes. Don't talk to anybody. You're already using your brain at that moment. Let it relax. Go by yourself. Don't talk to anybody. Don't talk about the test. Don't do anything. Just relax and let your mind recharge for the next Okay, final strategies for some final strategies for the test day preparation. Answer every question. There's no penalty for guessing. However, you know your score is going to be low if you guess all the questions. But if you find yourself at the end, maybe there are 5 that you didn't complete, just go ahead and answer them. They don't penalize you for wrong answers. They only give you credit for the right ones. So keep that in mind. 5 minutes. This has something to do with the math part. You probably know more than I do. Stay calm. And if module 2 feels more difficult than module 1, it is true. That means the test adjusted for you. And it's usually that way. If you start off with hard, you will notice easy. If you start off with easy, you'll notice things getting harder. It does morph to you. Don't worry about it. If you end up with a really difficult test and you get some of them right, it actually improves your score. Yes, it actually improves your score. If all your questions were easy, well, not to say you should be nervous, but it is what it is. They are like fair when it comes to these things. Well, I guess we can't go into the other things, but schoolwork matters. I know you think it doesn't. Schoolwork matters. You should ask teachers to give you material that relates to the SAT, depending on their subject. Maybe they can, maybe they can't, but you should ask for it. Ask your parents to put some pressure on you. You know they are the best to pressure you to do what you need to do. Ask them to provide you with the necessary quiet and space that you need to prepare. They're already going to provide you with the money you need for the material that you need. So lean on your parents, because they are going to be the ones that's going to give you the most support. We got to stop here, unfortunately.
What's up?
A person who believes that this wasn't set up by our own government is an idiot.
Everybody's gone out of their mind.
Welcome to Mr. Quick's class.
Welcome to Mr. Quick's class.
Welcome to Mr. Quick's class.
Welcome, Mr. Quick's class. Oh yeah.